All right, live once again. I'm right on time this time, but I won't be too long on this live stream. This channel is really like a blog or a vlog channel. I'm really not trying to set this up to be like, all the other channels where they, you know, creating this elaborate platform. This truly is my vlog. I have random thoughts and I want to be able to record them, publicize them, and get feedback on them. I'm not no teacher, I'm not no leader or nothing like that. I'm the exact same as you. I'm just an everyday black person who has a lot to say, like most other people. But you saw the title of this live stream: Separation is Reparations. Now, a reparations check without separation is not reparations. It's not. I made a short video about it. And I like short videos. I don't want to feel pressured into a long presentation on every video, but I'm going to stick with that, try to hammer that home. It seems like a con, or really a joke. It's embarrassing for us to believe that we can simply get a check from the government and all of a sudden black people are liberated. Now we are repaired. No, we're not. I would argue that if every black person in this country received $500,000 or $1,000,000 check, black people would be in a worse state of existence after that check. What are you going to do with the check? You're going to go out and you're going to buy a bunch of junk and garbage from people who are going to use that wealth that you put into their bank account to exercise power over black people. That's just the way it is. You go around the planet, every country you go to, you're going to find black people at the bottom. Every group on this planet feels like they should dominate. They should rule over black people. That's something black people really need to get through their heads. You cannot coexist in the same society with any other group on this planet. None. And it's like suicide to believe that you can. You cannot. Unless, of course, you are the ones in power. But that's not the case. So I look around YouTube online trying to find an answer for our insanity. And of course, I ran across Stockholm Syndrome. A lot of truth to that. It's a psychological phenomenon in which the hostage expresses empathy and sympathy towards their captors. Definitely, I believe black people suffer from Stockholm Syndrome, 100%. Learned helplessness, a behavior typical of an organism that has endured repeated painful or otherwise aversive stimuli, which it was unable to escape or avoid. After such experience, the organism often fails to learn escape or avoidance in new situations where such behavior would be effective. And that is black people in the United States to a T. Like I said, no matter what happens, black people never even entertain the discussion of separations. That's scary to me. It's scary because it makes black people come off as if they're completely out of their minds. Sometimes I start to think black people actually enjoy being abused, enjoy being discriminated against in the whole works. All we do is sit back and say, oh, this is terrible. We need to produce justice. Stop. Black people, you're not going to have justice. You're not going to be free from racism until you rule your own nation. And as we all know, having power over your own nation is not enough. This is a terrible planet we're living on here. Because even if we have our own nation, there are going to be outside forces, other groups from the outside who are going to seek to control and dominate us. We see it all over the planet, right? Real good example all across Africa, where every country in the nation has been colonized. And those that have not been colonized, I mean, they're surrounded by colonized countries. They may as well be colonized. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that separation is not at the forefront of discussion. It's always education, economic development, this and that. But we're still willing to leave ourselves vulnerable to be manipulated and discriminated against by living under the rulership of another group. And I really don't want to put too much focus on white people because, you know, I snap my finger and all white people disappear. Look, some other group is going to rule over black people. So eventually, we're going to get the message that we just cannot be ruled over by any other group. And who knows how long that's going to take. But I tell you what, I'm going to try to get the ball rolling now. Right now. If we're separated, then there's nobody to sabotage us. You know, the black people who talk about, hey, we need to just start our own businesses and build, you know, economically. We tried that. We've tried that. And what happens? We're sabotaged. We're undermined. I mean, and it's very sophisticated. They will hire people to infiltrate our organizations. It's as if the government itself views black people as an enemy. An enemy always has. What makes anybody believe that it's going to stop someday? It's never going to stop. So the solution is separation, complete separation. Now, I know a lot of black people will say that, no, that's dangerous because then you'll all be in the same area and then they can just drop a bomb and kill us all. Right? I know a lot of people have heard that. No, that's dangerous. You don't want to be separated in one area, one state, one part of the country. Then it'll be easy for them to poison our water, to do something, poison us or bomb us or whatever. My response to that is you just got to get over it. No other group on the planet is afraid of existing as a nation among themselves. I mean, that's fear at the highest level. If you're scared to live by yourself, you can't accept that level of fear ever in life. So I don't co-sign with this idea of being afraid of being bombed by white people if we live in our own part of the country. People in Africa, they have not been bombed. Nobody has dropped a bomb on any African country. They're not afraid to live among themselves. Why are black people in the United States, why do they entertain that idea? Right? So I'm not with that. That we should not separate because then we're easy targets for the racists and they can do something to us. Can't live in fear. Separation or destruction. And it's like black people have this separation anxiety where they just don't want to be separated from any other group. But let's focus on white people in the United States. They don't want to be separated from white people. As much as they're annoyed every week, almost every other day, there's a new shooting. There's some type of racist situation. And what do? All we do is point it out. Whoa, look at this. Look at what happened this time over here in this state. How long could you possibly do that? Who does that? Who looks at a home, for example, where it's constantly being robbed, and you never take it upon yourself to get a house alarm, a gun, new locks on the doors. Just every day you come home, oh, we've been robbed again. Oh, we've been robbed again. And you take no steps to prevent it before it happens. In my opinion, that is black people when they do not talk about separation. It's like a pointless discussion. And it's to the point now where I just don't even really pay much attention. Oh yeah, somebody else got shot? Okay. Call me when you want to have a discussion about separation. Now, I know a lot of people feel like it's unrealistic. It's just not realistic. No, like I said before, what's unrealistic is to believe that someday we're all just going to get along. Nobody's going to be able to see race. We've let this go on for so long that Nazis have infiltrated the police force all across the country. It's impossible for black people to exist without the dynamic of racism. Impossible. Separation is mandatory. And both groups, both blacks and whites, sometimes I wonder if both groups enjoy the drama. Black people seem like they enjoy being victimized, like they want to always be able to point at some behavior that white people demonstrate and say, that's wrong, that's evil. And white people seem to get off on abusing blacks in regard to being racist. They get off on it. The power, having the authority over black people. Now, I honestly believe this in regard to the whites in power in very high places. I'm talking about like that small 1% of the white ruling class. They don't ever want to let black people go because they get off on exercising power over black people. And I don't think black people keep this close in mind. If they did, they would try like hell to be separated. There is a small elite group of white rulers who get off on exercising power and dominance over black people. That's exactly what was going on during slavery. It wasn't just about economics. They got off on it, exercising power over an entire people. And then it became normalized. It instilled a very demented psychology into whites, of course, and blacks, but whites. They inherited a set of characteristics, of traits, personality traits, and it is with them to this day. It's so bad that in order for white people to not be racist, they truly have to first admit that they are racist. And every day, 24/7, they have to remind themselves to not be a racist and to not operate like a racist, because it's in every facet of society. Just the personality, people develop a similar type of character and personality, mainly through media entertainment, mainly entertainment. They sit up and they watch TV and they sort of try to emulate the personalities and characters they see on TV. Well, what do they see on TV? They always see white people as being intellectually superior to black people. Black people, they are just, uh, you know, clowns, mainly clowns, some type of entertainer, whether it be sports, whether it be comedians. They're clowns. They're not there to be intelligent. Now, there's exceptions to the rule. You'll have every now and then this Denzel Washington type of role where this guy is extremely intelligent, right? But what you see most often is what conditions the people. And black people are projected as intellectually inferior in this country. That is never going to stop. So when they pick up these personality traits, talk about white people, they can still be nice to black people. You know, they can get along with black people, all while at the same time believing they are intellectually superior and genetically superior, maybe, but definitely intellectually superior. And they feel like that they are the rightful rulers of this country and that they should always rule over black people, right? You have to separate yourself, in my opinion, you have to separate yourself from people like that, from people who have a superiority complex. And a superiority complex, it is embedded, it's in the culture itself, everywhere you look. I wrote a paper about this when I was in college. And I wrote it because of the textbooks. You know, this was my freshman year. And I'm looking through these textbooks. You know, I took psychology, sociology. I'm looking through these textbooks, and you see photos of psychologists, of sociologists who contributed to different chapters in the books. Why they had photos of these people is beyond me. No, there's a reason behind that. It's deliberate. And every one of them was white. Every now and then you would see an Asian person or something who contributed to the psychology or sociology book. They're all white. So what does that teach the student? Subliminally, it teaches them without actually saying it or writing it, that white people are intellectually superior, that only white people contributed to the intellectual development of mankind. Black people, you did not. You've contributed nothing to the intellectual development of mankind. And that is abusive. That's abusive. Now, most people wouldn't look at that as abusive. But to have black people attend a school where you have made books with photos in it of contributors and they're all white, I mean, not a black face in these books, that is abusive. That's a perfectly okay school if you're white. Yeah, knock yourself out. But black people need their own school like that, where every contributor to that book is a reflection of themselves. Black people can't even think in terms of having their own nation. Very few black people think about stuff like this. That has an effect on your psyche. So I wrote this paper and my professor gave me a B, and I was heated. I was salty about that because I knew that paper deserved an A+, right? But the professor gave me a B, and I went and I talked to her about it, and she just could not understand. She could not understand why I would view a textbook that way. Why I would sift through a textbook and focus on the image, the race of the contributors. And that is a privilege among white people. They have privileges that they don't even recognize. It's not until they're put in a country where they never see themselves on billboards, in books, then they would see the problem with it. And it's across the board. If you look on the nutritional information on any box of food or whatever, package of food or whatever, they have the nutritional information. And they will say that this has a certain amount of milligrams of sodium. And it will say that this is like 10% of your daily requirements, right? Just pull up a package of anything. It will tell you the daily requirements, however much is in there. Say 50 milligrams of sodium, and 50 milligrams is 10% of your daily requirement. So if you want 100% of your daily sodium intake, you have to multiply that by 10, right? 10%, so you need 10 servings to get 100%. Do you know that blacks require a different amount of nutrition? You can Google it for yourself. Blacks require much less sodium than all other races on the planet. But they don't base the nutritional value on anything on black people. No food group whatsoever. They don't even include black people's daily nutritional value. They suggest that white people and all other races get about, it's like 2,500 milligrams of sodium. And they suggest, and I'm talking about doctors, and doctors suggest that black people get less than 1,500 milligrams. It's like a difference of 1,000 milligrams of sodium. So on the box, they'll say, if it says 2,500 milligrams, it will then say this is 100% of your daily requirements. But if a black person were to consume that same thing, they would have gone over by 1,000 milligrams. And then what? Eventually you develop high blood pressure. You have a heart attack, now you're dead. This country in no way, shape, or form looks out for the well-being of black people. And I'm telling you, whites are born into this position. They're born and sort of guided, sort of forced into supporting the status quo, maintaining the status quo, maintaining racism itself. And it's funny, there's this fad that's going around that projects racism as some sort of figment of people's imagination. I was talking on Twitter, and I mentioned, not Twitter, it was Instagram, and I mentioned white supremacy. And I had these white people respond calling white supremacy the boogeyman. You know, it really doesn't exist. Like some sort of a mythological monster. White supremacy doesn't exist. Racism doesn't exist. How do you get to that point, really, in this country? They've convinced black people that if you don't hear a white person use the N-word, then you cannot accuse them of being racist. Do you know how much a group of people can get away with that type of narrative? Right? Just don't say the N-word. You can do whatever you want. It's like with the employment situation. Racial discrimination, you know, you get a employee, possible employer, future employee, an applicant into your business or company. One is white, one is black. The black person is more qualified than the white person. They'll hire the white person anyways. Tell you that you are underqualified. You don't know, right? They actually did a study. This has been proven. Numerous businesses hired less qualified white people. There was this one where they even offered, right, the black person came in, they was like overqualified. Typed like 40 some words a minute, no criminal record. And then the white person came in, had a criminal record, did not type as many words, right? And this was deliberate. This was a test. They purposely made sure the white applicant was far less qualified than the black applicant, and they hired the black. Not only hired the white applicant, but offered them transportation to and from work. Told the black applicant, oh, we don't have any jobs for you. What can you do to prevent that from happening? There's nothing you can do to stop that. The only thing you can do is get the hell away from it. Is to separate yourself from the entire group. And this is not to say that all white people are bad, but there are enough bad apples to separate yourself from the entire group. It's that simple. I don't want to make this too complicated. Black people need to separate from all white people, from white America, period, because of the bad apples. All the good white people, hey, just say your goodbyes to them. It was nice knowing you, right? Keep in touch with them on social media. But the only solution to the race problem, and the race problem is the biggest problem in this country, always has been. That's the biggest problem in this country. It's mainly manifested through police violence and the judicial system. But it is not going to stop. I need people to admit that. Do you really believe it's going to stop? If so, how? What could we possibly do to eliminate racism without eliminating white people in general? Now, I'm not saying that you should eliminate them. I'm just saying be separated from it. It's impossible. It's the only solution. Separation is the only solution. Talk about repairing black people's culture. Economically, you cannot. Black people will never flourish economically in this country, ever. Not under integration. It's not going to happen. Like I said, we got history to prove it. Black people were so independent as far as how they functioned. They were building homes, building cities, building actual towns, businesses, banks, and it all got destroyed, undermined, sabotaged. So what are we going to do? Let's just try again. Okay, if the same thing happens again, then what? Well, we try again. No, no. You have to be separated. There is no other answer. So it scares me when I hear people online, I hear people on their live streams talking about racism, white supremacy, and they talk about the need for justice. And they never say anything about separation, separating ourselves from not only white people, but from every other group on this planet. It's like insanity, people. There's no other way, better way to put it. We are completely out of our mind. The first black person who brings up separation, they're going to hit me as the only sane person in the room. I can't even wake up unless somebody brings up separation. Now, I know a lot of black people, you don't want to live with black people. You know, a lot of black men, they cannot stand black women. A lot of black women, they cannot stand black men. I mean, they literally hate. A lot of black men hate black women. A lot of black women hate black men. But like I said, you're just going to have to get over it if you want to survive. Look, you don't have to. The other alternative is self-destruction. Just go ahead and exterminate yourselves off the face of the planet. But if you're not talking about separation and ruling your own nation, you're going to always have people like a Cynthia G who can hold that over your head. So what? You got a good job. A white man had to give it to you. A white man had to educate you. A white man had to build your home. Oh, you make 100,000, 200,000 a year. You needed white men to do that. White men will always be your God, always be superior over you, as long as you live under their rule and domination. And it's like black people can't think outside. It's like, well, what are the options? No, we can't rule ourselves. We need white people to take care of us and to run the government. Black people, in my opinion, deep down, they feel like they need white people to take care of them. Just like a slave. That is a prime example of a slave mentality. Black people deep down in the back of their head, they feel like they need white people to survive on this planet, to build their homes, to make their laws, to make their clothes, to grow their food, everything. Tell me I'm lying. And if you admit that that's the truth, then you have to shake your head, because that's a slave. What is that other than a flat out bona fide slave? And I'm tired of existing in this world like a slave. Now, I don't make much money at all. I'm barely getting by, right? I'm barely above poverty level, but I take care of myself. I don't worry about bills or nothing like that. You know, when I want something, I can go shopping and pretty much buy whatever I want. You know, I couldn't go, purchase no expensive car, but I don't want anything like that. Even if I had the money, I would not buy no Ferrari or no stupid little toys. But I don't feel free. I don't feel liberated. I don't feel like a man. And any other black person who lives in this country, a foundational black person, American, you should feel the same way. And if you don't, I got to question your sanity. I got to question your sanity. It's shameful that white people have to facilitate every aspect of our growth and development. And we have to grow and develop within their limitations, the limitations that they set for us. Certain things we just can't do in large numbers. We can't. You will never look at the Senate, you never look at the White House, any part of government, and see 95% black people. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see it. And it's like black people are okay with that. They're okay with not ruling over themselves. So this is a problem. It's a problem. Now, slavery was not that long ago, just a little over 100 years ago. Basically yesterday. So it's not too late. It's not too late to change. Right? I say that because I know a lot of black people feel like, oh, well, we're too far gone. You know, we should have done that a long time ago. No. Long time ago, that's today. We were just set free yesterday. So at the very least, I think we need to entertain the discussion. Reignite the discussion. Because I'm not bringing anything new to the table. We've had people in the past talk about how important it is for black people in this country to be separated, to have their own nation. And since we are in this heightened state of racism right now, I think this is a good time to talk about it again. Separation or death. There is no other option but separation. No other option. And if we do not, we're going to drive ourselves crazy like we are now. Look at all the health problems we got. I think a lot of it stems from the fact that we are always stressed out. Right? This person getting shot. That person gets shot. Then every day you have to deal with these co-workers. You have to deal with these racist people in the office. You go to the grocery store. You have to deal with these racist people. If you're not dealing with the racists directly, you're dealing with some insane black person who has essentially been groomed by racism. Self-esteem, the lack of self-esteem, runs rampant. And it's really the source of a lot of dysfunction in black people. Do you think that could ever be reversed under integration? Do you really believe black people's image will be projected the way it should be projected under integration? Do you think black men would ever be projected as real men under integration? No, we're going to always be the criminals or the clowns. Those are the roles for us, either criminals or clowns. And it's going to condition every future generation. You'll have a few like us pop up every now and then, but the masses are going to be under the influence of the conditioning process. So I'm ushering in this conversation. I'm bringing it back, and I'm not going to let up off it. Separation or death. There's no other option. No other option. Now, okay, there's nobody in here. Nobody in this room. I don't care. This will be stashed in the archives. And if you disagree, go ahead and voice your disagreement in the comment section. Please be respectful to each other. I want to open this dialogue. It's very important to me because nobody is entertaining this discussion. I don't want to hear about economic development. It's not going to happen under integration. Let's build. It's not going to happen. Nothing you can bring up, nothing these pro-blacks bring up is realistic under integration. So those are my thoughts. Share your thoughts